Do you remember Diamond and Pearl? I suppose it was 15 years ago, but you had your starter and Rapidash, exactly 2 fire-type options available to you until post-game. It was silly. Now, in Gen 8, the situation is better, but fire-types are still uncommon. In fact, think of a great fire-type. I'm 75% sure that you thought of one of these 5 Pokemon. Now, even Mons I would consider in the top 10 of fire types have their issues, and I wouldn't recommend throwing them on any Draft League squad. At some point in every draft, people will complain, wow, there are no good fire types left, and I'm here to make sure that doesn't happen to you. My name is The Jordan, hashtag VGC, hashtag YouTube, and I'm here to do a big analysis of fire types. It's going to center around a showcase of Mons outside of that top 10 that I think provide immense value, but all require planning for you to get the most out of. Through this showcase, you're going to start to notice commonalities in fire types, get a better understanding as to what a fire type does, and I'm going to be arguing as to why that's so important, why it warrants all this planning, and how to build a Draft League squad that warrants lots of flame emojis. Now, as these Draftables episodes have gotten broader, they've gotten longer, I'm going to try to keep this one efficient. I'm going to throw lots of content at you on some of these slides and not read them. So if you want to get the absolute most and level up your Draft League game, maybe pause some of these slides, but I'm going to try to keep this video under 30 minutes. Wish me luck. So before we get to the showcase, we have to talk a little bit high level about fire types. They beat the best Pokemon in the game, which are Steel types and Fairy types. I did my Draftables analysis of Steel types. You saw that some of the most ridiculous Pokemon are Steels, and how any Mon with a Steel typing can become a problem if you don't have good answers. Fire types are your answer. They're reason number 1 to invest in a good Fire type. And when you start to look at their stat distributions, it's like the average stat of a fully evolved fire type, you notice a bias towards attacking. That's not even the full picture. They have the best attacking move pool of any type. I'm pretty confident in this. Look at all these amazing fire moves. We have the high base power moves, we have the reliable moves, we have the moves with good secondary effects, we have moves that spread burns, moves that control the game. Most fire types have access to the majority of these moves, so basically every fire type is a good attacker, and fire types are choosing not only whether to attack or to use support moves or something else like that, but how to attack, and that's really, really valuable. A couple of other high-level commonalities in fire types, burning things. Like, how else are you going to deal with these physical attackers? Most of them have Will-O-Wisp, most of them have moves with a secondary burn chance. Ice, I talked about as one of the very strongest offensive types. I talked about in the Steels episode how that was one of the biggest assets of Steel types is resisting ice. Well, fire types do that too. The more your estimation of fire types goes up, the more you'll realize that just resisting other fire types and resisting other Mons attempting to burn you becomes really good. I love that Entei could deal reliable physical damage without having to deal with burns. You probably know that they eat grass and bugs, that they have got a full sun mode that you can build around them, protecting rocks and grounds from water types. And in general, here's the highlight. They usually offer you at least 2 out of 3 when it comes to damage, defenses, and versatility. And now there is no better first showcase of a Mon that offers exactly 2 of these 3 things than Salazzle. Salazzle is an amazing Pokemon. It is very fast, very strong, and sometimes dies instantly. Now, its undeniable frailty does not stop it from making an enormous impact in games. In fact, it's usually the focal point of the start of the game. That very fast fake out, the very best move in the entire game, allows you to control turn 1, allows you to either not have Salazzle get hit turn 1, or at least help its partner do something pretty risklessly. You might think of these numbers and say, oh, this isn't that strong. Well, you have to remember the high base power difference. Overheat is such an asset to most fire types. We know, you all probably know that Metagross is a very strong Pokemon, but its strongest stab move is Meteor Mash, like 90 base power versus 130 base power. When you consider in practice, Salazzle can deal more damage on turn 1 than Metagross can do, period. There's nothing that quite compares to Overheat. For most types, and not only do that, but we have got the classic spread move, we got the reliable move, and even if we have special attack, we might not even live to see the downsides of it. So a glass cannon can really just dish out a lot with 1 turn, but also there's so many things Salazzle can do, even if it's got half special attacks, so many threatening things. Foul Play, Breaking Swipe, and Will-O-Wisp are a trio of excellent ways to handle physical attackers. even if you're in misty terrain, it can't get burned, you've still got the breaking swipes. Or even if you're it's clear body and you can't breaking swipe it, well, foul play is a great way to deal with a big physical attack stat. We've got multiple answers to most problems, right? We can taunt, we can shut down a lot. Like, Encore is such a problem, especially off of that speed stat. You can't do anything except attack in front of a Salazzle, because if you protect, you get Encored into that, and you are shut down. You do any kind of setup move, you're Encored into that, or at least potentially Encored into that, and that's a big problem. So Salazzle is supporting its team, like Fake Tears plus a strong special attacker can destroy something before the opponents are ready for you. Beat up against the Justified Mon, Swagger. There's so many different ways to use this Mon, and I think sometimes you have to recognize this Mon is going to be reliant on its Focus Sash, but it's a Mon that does so much for you that you're happy to use the Focus Sash on it, keep it alive just a little bit longer. It's a Mon that sometimes you're going to have to recognize, if I get hit by anything weaker than a Stiff Breeze, I'm probably dying, but that's okay, right? If I'm Life Orb Salazzle and I'm able to take an Oko with the Overheat, that's a totally great trade. If some of the time I'm able to Oko the thing that was trying to Oko me first, but can't, then I get 2 great shots, and then Salazzle's totally pulling its weight. This is a Mon that you totally cannot predict all the things that it could be doing. The combination of speed and power is kind of like a Lowland Persian, the focal point of my second Draftables episode. By the way, my PowerPoint skills have definitely gotten better. Y'all have inspired me through the support to keep high-efforting these more and more. But Persian was all about all these different moves that you use, the fast fake out, the damage mitigation. So instead of speed and bulk, as Persian provides, this is speed and offense. It's a glass cannon, but it's a very, very versatile glass cannon. And is it doing defensive fire type stuff? Yes and no. I mean, no, it's not living hits. It's not living a steel type hit, or at least not more than one of them some of the time. But this is defense in a way. Will-O-Wisp, breaking swipe, disable against a Mon that's attempting to set up on you. Lots of different shutdown tools, something for every circumstance. I think I have a couple of Salazzle sets. Spoilers. But your one attack being Overheat is totally viable on a glass cannon. Your one tool of dealing with special attackers, this also is like Overheat takes them down to Focus Sash, and then Breaking Swipe allows you to clean up the Sash or break a Sash while also dealing with multiple physical attackers. Like, this is a good combination of power and reliability. Taunt against a lot of different setup, and of course Fake Out. Sash, you know you're going to be warranting the Sash a lot of the time when you're bringing Salazzle, but it's got a good speed control move. You know, anything can become faster when Salazzle goes first and T-waves it. Foul play is very, very good damage. Eject Pack, I think this is a very fun way to take advantage of Overheat. You overheat and you get out of there, so you do not need your Focus Sash some of the time if you are not here to take the hits that you would be taking. So Eject Pack will take you out of battle right after the overheat. Fake Tears plus your own attacks, Fake Tears plus your partner's attacks, enormous potential just from turn 1 and just spiraling out from there. And then the Will-O-Wisp, if you do need to slow the game down, that's one of the best ways. Sometimes, just commit to a strong Salazzle. This is a viable glass cannon. It doesn't even need the life orb to get Oko some of the times, but I imagine the majority of Pokemon, in fact I know, about half of all Pokemon get Oko'd by a life orb Salazzle overheat. And you'll see that in the Magmortar section. But sometimes you can take advantage of the expectation of Fake Out. You see those protects and then you Encore them. So what's nice about Life Orb with no Fake Out is that you will not reveal the Life Orb with your Fake Out, but you still get the benefit of Fake Out. Any Mon with a fast Fake Out is deadly, and so you're gonna bait some protects, and I think Salazzle's a great user of Encore for that reason. You do not need to be bulky if you never get hit in the first place. If you're taking out the things that threaten you before they get a chance to move, the team that takes more turns is likely to win. And Fake Out, Will-O-Wisping them first so they effectively get half of their turn, taking the Oko first or taking the KO first, that's one of the best ways to steal turns. And Salazzle is a wonderful thief of the opponent's turns, I would be willing to pay 12 out of 20 points for this, and that's more than I would pay for most Pokemon. I don't care about bulk at this point. Maybe we sometimes try to live some hits. If we are like an eject pack variant, we might not need any damage or might not need any offensive investment. And so like Overheat's enough to get us there, and then we put 2 under 52 HP. And then sometimes people are expecting the Focus Sash on Salazzle, so they throw a light hit out there, and then you can live it. It's possible. That's not really the main point here. The goal of Salazzle is to make an enormous impact in a short amount of time, and I think it does excellent at that role. Next showcase is Magmortar. Now, I've been struggling to find a lot of fire types that can take great advantage of their great defensive typing. I want a mon that can take multiple ice moves, multiple fairy moves, and outside of the top tier of gifted fire types that also have good defenses, a lot of fire types fit more the profile of Salazzle. Maybe not as extreme, but they're here to do good damage, do good support stuff, and then go down. Well, Magmortar is pretty solid. I think it's one of the top 16 fire types, and therefore should be drafted most of the time. So we're going to look at it as an attacker first and foremost. It's got high base power moves, Overheat, and Flare Blitz, so we can actually threaten with our serviceable physical attack stat with that big Flare Blitz. On both sides, special and physical, we've got Electric move, which is a great coverage move for hitting the obvious water types coming to beat Magmortar. Ground and fighting on both sides, they're the best attacking coverage out there a lot of the time because they hit 5 types super effectively and no other types do. So just looking at Magmortar's coverage here, it's not 12 different types, but it hits most Pokemon super effectively, and that's what you should be asking for. I think a lot of the time Fire-type Mon should be using Fire-type moves because they always have the right attack for the right circumstance, but some of this coverage, if you're hitting something 4x, then it's hard to turn down. What else is Magmortar doing besides attacking? Now, it's got some of the stuff you're going to start to notice on a lot of fire types. Will-O-Wisp, Taunt is surprisingly common, supportive stuff like Helping Hand, Mystical Fire are really good move on Magmortar because it's dealing serious damage off of that stat, but also cutting their special attack. Good to do a little of both things at once. So we're doing speed control too. That's also useful. I do have sample sets to start to illustrate how this comes together. Hi, Steve. I'm watching your video right now. So this is the just use fire types move. If you can get sun boosted fire types with a charcoal boost, you can really just use fire types, right? You got your one move, you need to absolutely destroy something, and then if you are ready to just do good damage against everything, good spread move. So then all you need is fire moves, so you can just put on a taunt there. You can even set your own sunny day. Maybe don't recommend that. I think Magmortar's strong enough that it warrants a support by its side, like a Whimsicott. Prankster Sunny Day, Prankster Tailwind, pretty good with Magmortar. Magmortar has a very usable speed tier here, 83. I actually recycled my Xurkitree slide, the only other mon that has 83 speed, because this is it hits really good benchmarks, beating base 70s without having to invest in speed boosting nature, beating of course base 80s, and then with Scarf or with Icy Wind or with some speed control, then you're you're not OHKOing, but you're outspeeding most fast Pokemon. And by the way, if they're fast, they're probably frail, and so Magmortar Overheat probably OHKOs. So Indeedee is half, 50th percentile of bulk, and so you don't even need super effective to OHKO the majority of Pokemon with a Life Orb Overheat. That's serious strength for Magmortar. And so knowing that the Scarf is all it needs to be going first, sometimes you don't need an office boosting item to take an OHKO, and so Overheat can really help there. When you need your reliable move, snarling something first is always really good, so of course Mystical Firing something first is good. This is a speed control move off of a 201 speed after the Scarf. A fast Rock Slide, get some flinches, why not? This is a more durable Magmortar. We can Overheat because once we're halved special attack, we're just a physical attacker then. Great, we can do good damage without any investment off Overheat. So of course, beat most things, beat water types, do speed control. So sometimes we see that we can't get the OHKO, but we can set it up, Rock Tomb, live the hit with Assault Vest, and then next turn we targeted a KO with Flare Blitz. So it's doing its best Arcanine impression here. It does not have the physical bulk. That is, I think, Magmortar's biggest limitation, but we can give it Intimidate. It's a good enough mon that it warrants maybe giving it some Reflect support. So this is how we start to use Magmortar's not truly like every type, but useful coverage with the Expert Belt. A super effective Thunderbolt goes pretty far. Same with ground coverage. So, a pretty good versatile attacker. I think you should invest in helping Magmortar with protection from its physical weaknesses. Notice fire types, their weaknesses are rock, ground, and water. Rock and ground are usually physical attackers, and water type is actually pretty split between physical and special. So that is a weak point. That is a weak point that you want to mitigate. If you can add redirection for Magmortar, it's strong enough to do great damage with redirection support. If you're willing to support Magmortar, do it. Like, if you have good support, then you can grab Magmortar intentionally. If not, it's sometimes a fire type available in the mid rounds, and so it should be in your back pocket as a viable fire type because it does a lot for you. So we're halfway. I recommend pausing, taking a breath, drinking some water. I did, but I'm ready to jump right back in. Fire types, you're starting to notice a trend where a lot of them elect for offense plus speed plus versatility, which is a really potent combo, but it comes at the cost of survivability. I was told fire was such a great defensive typing, but where are all the bulky fire types? Outside of the top here, which are always gone in the first couple rounds. We're going to need to dig a little bit deeper. I think some of these mons down here have some value as defensive Pokemon, but there is one I don't have listed here that combines a lot of defense with a lot of variety in how you can run it, with number of setup options to make it offensive and really make it the complete package. So enter Turtonator. Turtonator is exciting. It is the physical defensive fire type we've been looking for. 90th percentile bulk means it can live those stone edges and earthquakes and rock slides and proc a weakness policy. Even outside the Dynamax era, this mon can live and use weakness policy. But we got multiple good stab options. We got plenty of good coverage on both sides, middling offenses, but we have some ways to boost them, so that's nice. Some support moves like Wide Guard, Will-O-Wisp, who doesn't like that? So I think the best way to see how this comes together is to look at the sample set, so I'm going to jump right into that. I think Iron Defense Body Press should be the default set for Turtonator because it's just such a good defensive mon, both stats and typing, that can really stop the game against all physical attackers, can take on two at once, and then if you're out of position against Turtonator, then it's going to lock you in with Fire Spin or something like that. I mean, it could be something else. You could put Wide Guard here instead of Protect. It could just be the Draco Meteor for the just in case I need to get going right away. But Iron Defense Body Press with leftovers, with an ability that helps this set, you can't be struck by a critical hit, so you can't break through those defense boosts. Really nice. This is how you make weakness policy work in the post-Dynamax era. You grab a really bulky mon, you invest in the bulk further, you get just up to where you need to be once you double the offense, and in particular, you make sure you can live that super effective hit. Iron Defense can really help you let your opponent proc your weakness policy, and then any move will do. Both stabs, a good coverage move, you'll do fine. Shell Smash is the other way of doubling Turt's offenses, which, given its kind of mediocre offensive stats to begin with, you do usually need to doubling in order to get some Okos. So Shell Smash, with some speed investment, we can get past Charizard, we can get past Mienshao, we can get reasonably fast. So matchup willing, it's very good. So doubling and another 30%, we don't even care if we're using physical or special, we don't even care if we're using stab or coverage, we're getting some really good damage, if not one-hit KOs, using Shell Smash. I think that's a good option. I mean, it's not Shell Smash Blastoise, but it's something. Curse Turt kind of depends on the viability of physical attacks. If you can't just hit everything with Body Press, you can Heat Crash through a Venusaur. Kind of depends. But this is kind of the overall Turt for any occasion. You can just throw out, like, one reason to use physical Turt is because it has access to Head Smash, and, you know, a super powerful rock move. Head Smash destroys Charizard with zero investment, so you don't need any investment in that. Body Press does great damage without any defensive investment or Iron Defense, so you can devote the rest of your investment into making a special attacker. So, strong Draco Meteors, but after your special attack has been dropped from Draco Meteor, then you just revert back to head smashing and body pressing. It's a Turt for all seasons, for all occasions. I think it's a pretty compelling mon. As a slow mon, I have trouble recommending people pay too much for it. It's always got an asterisk, like it needs a strong Trick Room mode. I think Turtonator relies on going first less than most mons, because if you Iron Defense up and become unkillable, then going first will not save them. So Sometimes it can just sit there, have no interest in going first, and Wide Guard, and Will-O-Wisp, and Iron Defense Body Press, and just use some medium strong stab moves. I think it's a pretty good Pokemon and one you should consider in your next draft. Let's dig into the low tiers. Sometimes there's a few good fire types left, but maybe they just don't fit your team. And other times, maybe you just can't afford them. In Draft League, you're working with a limited budget. I think that's a really good thing. It's one of the things that makes Draft League the best way to play competitive Pokemon, is that you're very much encouraged to get a range of high tiers, mid tiers, low tiers. You won't be able to just take the same 100 Mons that are always popular on the ladder. Rapidash is a Mon that you can frequently get for cheap on most draft boards, but it's a Mon that makes a real impact when it comes. It can make a real impact. I don't want to grab a cheap fire type to say I grabbed a cheap fire type, but then never actually bring it. Rapidash can make a real impact. These stats just don't cut it by today's standards. It's power crept out. But if you're going to have one good stat, it should be speed, the most important stat. So that's a good start. If you're going to have a middling attack stat, then at least have all the coverage one could ask for and some high base power stab moves. So it's got both. It's not quite capable of taking Okos with super effective coverage like our wonderful Rainbow Drampa, see Draftables episode 5, but it's reliably taking 2-shots on even bulky Pokemon when it's got the right coverage move. And why is a 2-shot important? Well, it's got Sword Dance. By the time you see Rapidash Swords Dancing, if you haven't already planned to take it out that turn, then it's going to start taking Okos, and unless you can get another shot in, then it's going to become a real problem. This is amazing coverage. Ground plus Fairy, super good. The Electric, as we talk about, beating water types. A high base power Bug move can even come in handy in a lot of circumstances. This is a move for basically any circumstance you could ask for. And sometimes we can even play Rapidash defensively. Like, we can act like we're Salazzle, but for half the price with a fast Will-O-Wisp, or Charm. If we use Sun, if we set Sun with another Mon, then Rapidash can use Sun boosted fire attacks to take a lot of Okos, and then heal its whole health back up with Morning Sun. So sometimes it's even worth investing in some defense for Rapidash. Usually it just needs to take one hit, it needs to be able to survive one hit to be able to pull its weight, to be able to deal at least one Mon worth of damage. But Substitute can allow you to trade with a Mon indefinitely while the partner does some good work. Ally Switch and Hypnosis, these are real threats, and it's important to be not just an attacker, especially if you're not the strongest Mon in the world. But this is a Mon that you 3 attacks plus Swords Dance, Flare Blitz, Protect, Swords Dance +1, either the right coverage move or Will-O-Wisp. Really, really effective sets. It's a budget pick. It's not going to live more than one hit most of the time, but it's an answer. It's a fast answer to physical attackers. It is a reliable 2-hit KO'er. And that's enough. It's a fast Mon. It even is immune to fire moves, or can even spread a burn when something hits it. So this is a Mon that I think you can comfortably play 6 out of 20 points for. On the right team, it's exactly what the doctor ordered. 7, 8, 9 points, it might be better than any of the Mons in that range, because it's a fast fire type, and fire types are good. You ready for true bottom of the barrel value? Combuskin in my home league, VBLS, is 1 point right now, and I know it's worth so much. Once people see this video, they're gonna correct that. But this is a Mon with real utility and decent power and decent stats. When you consider the Eviolite, the almighty Eviolite makes Combuskin bulkier than the majority of fully evolved Pokemon. Now, Firefighting is a decent defensive typing. It's no longer resisting Fairy, which is annoying, but it's a fire type that's not weak to Rock, and that's really nice. Mixed attacking, the same kind of stats as some of these other Mons, maybe like Rapidash, but we got Flare Blitz and we got Overheat, and we got the option to run either of them or both of them, so that's pretty nice. Importantly, we're Little Blaziken, so we've got Speed Boost. So we are bulky with the benefit of Eviolite, but we're speedy with the benefit of time. After just one turn, we can be faster than base 100s or even faster than base 105s. After 2 turns, we are one of the fastest Pokemon in existence. We are the second fastest Pokemon in existence, besides Mons with boosts of their own, after 2 turns. And we're bulkier than average. We are legitimately good Pokemon with time and Eviolite. And that's really nice because we have a full move pool here. Sometimes baby Mons have, not complete move pool, but, this is fine. this is a high base power stab moves. This is the right coverage move. This is a couple of coverage moves for any circumstance. And fast coaching. I think coaching is broken. Super strong boosting move. And so I don't think you need to complicate this Mon very much. You pick it up for a few points, and then, like, you just protect turn 1, and so you coach something so that it can get an OHKO turn 2, and then starting turn 3, you're always going first, so you should be able to get another coaching. Maybe you finish something off with overheat. But this is a simple Mon that is fast, that can do a fast Will-O-Wisp or a fast coaching or a fast pledge move. That's certainly an option. Or a fast speed control move, or a fast clear debuffs, or random fighting moves. You started to notice these are on Magmortar and some other mons, but for Combusken, it's stab, which is kind of nice. This is a simple Mon that you can do well with Focus Sash. With Focus Sash, then you can go the full offense, and then you don't need to commit to defense at all, and then you can commit to being fast and strong. Reasonably strong anyway. And so I'm pretty compelled by this. I think this is a Mon that you can take late in the draft when you have any physical attacker, when you have any amount of, like, I need a little bit more Will-O-Wisp or a little bit more control against physical attackers. Like, I can coach something up so it can better handle the physical attackers. Pokemon is easy. Pokemon is easy when you have Speed Boost and Eviolite and strong moves. Not too hard. On to the final section. Dynamax wasn't really great for fire mons. I mean, like, Sun is good, and they the ability to set Sun and kind of build a whole game plan out from there, but this is not really about Sun. This is about fire mons, the whole lot of them, and Flare was kind of a mid-tier max move, right? It boosted future moves, but that was kind of conditional, right? I'd rather just get a Steel Spike boost or an Airstream boost. And in max, everything's just Flare, right? And all of a sudden our beautiful move pool is no longer relevant. Being weak to Quake is annoying, especially all these special fire mons that are weak to Quake. Resisting Steel Spike, I guess, is good. But, like, these are mons that are not always well suited to Dynamaxing and getting all 3 turns of value. Sometimes you use that aggressive Dynamax and you're trying to just not get hit by taking the KOs first. So they can do that, but I think Fire's time to shine is back in Gen 9. Oh my god, that was an unintentional rhyme. Let's just keep going and not pay attention to that. Fire types give you a lot of potential synergies. Now, I've seen that all of these fire types, they need help on their own. Like, they're not just helping the rest of the team. The best fire types, like Arcanine, can serve your whole team. Fast Sunny Day is a better than helping hand for all the fire types because it's permanent, because it can boost other things that you have going on. Prankster good because a lot of fire types are fast, right? So you use the Prankster fake tears and then the fire type clears them away. Obviously Sun. But, like, Fire and Grass have perfect coverage because Grass is good against all 3 of Fire's weaknesses, which are Water, Rock, and Ground. Like, obviously Fire, Water, Grass coverage in general good. But Dragons are really nice with your Fire type because Dragons are only stopped by the Steel and the Fairy. The best types, unfortunately, but that's what Fire's for. So with Sun, all of a sudden, like, your mons, like, your whole team can be protected from water types, which can be pretty nice. In general, Fire is an offensive type. It's either doing the offensive itself, or it's doing the distraction and mayhem that allows its partner to do offense. So this is my fire type tier list in all of its glory. It's not perfect because I'm not perfect. It does have, like, some things like Talonflame is great at Gale Wings, but it, like, as a fire type not exactly what I had in mind. But anyway, it does share the overall point, which is that great fire types are scarce. After you get down to the away from the top tier, which are all going to be gone early, then you've got mons that are generally have very good strengths but clear weaknesses. Having clear weaknesses does not negate your clear strengths. It does put the responsibility on you, though, as a drafter, to build in ways that helps them out. Give Salazzle more threatening attackers so that all of the attention is not on Salazzle, so that it can support the attackers and not just crumple in 1 to 2 turns. Give Magmortar some physical defensive support so that it can live to use its versatile firepower for longer. Give Turtonator a good Trick Room mode. Don't make the rest of your team weak to fire or weak to rock moves, because then the fire mons are not going to be able to do too much for you. So I think fire is a type that you should be thinking about from the start of the draft. You should have a plan A, a plan B, and all the mons that are going to work with that plan A and plan B. This is a very important type with lots of opportunities on offense, defense, support, control, every use case in between. These are the types that are generally regarded as the top 3. At least I think most people view you should always have a water type, you should always get a steel type if you can find one, and you can always get a fairy type if you can get one. Well, let me submit to you the fire type. Get them while they're hot.